Welcome. In this lab, we are going to make electrolysis of water. We're going to decompose water to see its elements. We all know that the chemical formula of water is H2O. And water is everywhere, and we use water every day. But how can we be sure that the element that compose water is hydrogen and oxygen without demonstration? So the objective of this lab is to split the molecule of water and to be sure that it's composed by hydrogen and oxygen. To make this lab, what do I need? I need the water, a distilled water, this is pure water. I need my test tubes, okay, 2 test tubes. I need the battery, and then I need my support, my battery holder. I also need microammeter to be sure that current flow through my circuit. I need matches, and then I need a container. Okay, this is a plastic container, rubber container I make, and then I make a 2 small hole inside. I put a graphite electrode. Okay, the graphite electrode I get from pencils. I just move over the wood of the pencil, and then I take inside the graphite electrode, and then I fix it inside. And I want 2 wires here. I also need my switch, okay, and I need my container holder. This I make to hold my container. These are the wires I need to connect my circuit, and then also I need a solar crystal to make current flow through my circuit. This is all I need to make my lab. So let's go on. To start, I put water in my container. I put water in my container until it goes over the electrode, and then I fill my test tube with water. Okay, fill my test tube with water. Be sure that the test tube is completely filled, and then I close the test tube. I turn it on my container. Fill the second test tube with water. Be sure that there is no air that enters your test tube. I close my test tube and I turn it on my electrode. I connect my battery. So this is the polarity, the positive polarity. Okay, connect to this, and then this is a negative polarity. With the negative polarity, I connect to the microammeter, and then from the ammeter, I go to the switch. This is the wires that go to the switch, and then from the switch, I close my circuit to the negative polarity. What I'm going to do now is to add a crystal salt to my electrolyte. So I take over the microammeter from my circuit to reduce the resistance of the wires, and for that the current that flows through the circuit will be greater, and then I'll get my gases much better. And as you can see, you see the blue of gas flowing through my test tube, each of them. So we just let solution like this from some moment, and then we are going to experiment the gases that flow through each of our test tubes. This experimentation is very simple. We cannot agree that water is composed by hydrogen and oxygen without any demonstration. So we have to experiment this wherever in Africa, at Addis Ababa, at Nairobi, or South Sudan, at Lesotho, at Freetown, and Ouagadougou. You can do this. You physics teachers, you can do this with your students, and then they will be really know that water can be decomposed. So you can split molecule of water into hydrogen and oxygen. This is very simple experimentation way that you can do wherever in Africa. Knowledge must be evident for the students. That's very important to integrate physics in our everyday life. So as you can see in our test tubes, we had more volume of gas here than what we get in the other test tube. So let's see exactly what's going on in our electrolyte. we know that pure water doesn't let current flow, so we put a crystal soda in our container to make current flow through our circuit. This is an aqueous solution. Inside it, we get hydrogen ions and then hydroxide ion. So the positive polarity of the battery is connected to one electrode that we call anode, and then the negative polarity of the battery is connected to the other electrode that we call cathode. Inside our solution, we get two kind of ions. We get hydrogen ions and then hydroxide ion. Hydrogen ions is what exactly? Hydrogen ions is an atom of hydrogen that lose one electron, so it becomes positive. As positive ion, it will go to the negative electrode, that is a cathode. So at the cathode, what's going on? The hydrogen ion will take one electron, so it becomes again an atom of hydrogen. So two atoms of hydrogen will be added and become a molecule of hydrogen that flow through this type tube and become hydrogen gas here. At the other side, in the other tubes, what's going on? Hydroxide ion that gets an excedent of electron. So as a negative ion, it will go to the positive electrode, that is the anode. So at the anode, the hydroxide ion will let an electron and it will become an atom of oxygen, and then two atoms of the oxygen will be added and then will flow through our test tube, and then we have oxygen here. So that's the reason why here in this test tube we get much volume of gas down this test tube. So we can imagine already that in this test tube we get hydrogen and the gas we get here is an oxygen. But at the end of the experimentation, we are going to test the gas we get in both sides of our test tube to be sure that here you have hydrogen and the other side we get oxygen. So after some moment you can easily see what's going on in our two test tube. We get gases flow through this tube, and the volume of the gas here is the double of the volume of the gas we get in this test tube. This is very easy to recognize, and we can simply imagine that the gas we get here is hydrogen, and the gas we have at the other side is oxygen, as the negative electrode is connected to the negative polarity of the battery. This negative electrode is called a cathode, and then the other electrode that is called anode is connected to the positive polarity of our battery. We can stop our experimentation. As you can see, we have a very big volume of gas in this test tube, and then enough gas in the other tube also. So we can stop experimentation to test the gases. So we are going to use matches or this little wood to test our experimentation. If you have explosion, it's hydrogen, or if we have a brighter outside of this wood, so it's oxygen here. Let's test our gases. So to test the gas, I put over my test tube and I try as much as possible and to close the orifice of my test tube without having air inside it. I close it in the water and then I turn the water. So what I have here is hydrogen. So this is hydrogen. You get that's explosion. So you have hydrogen here. I put my test tube. So the gas you have here is supposed to be oxygen. Yes, I have a flame. After the the wood was stop lighting. So we just demonstrate that we can split water by having hydrogen and then oxygen. So thank you for following this experimentation. I encourage you to do this wherever in Africa, at Addis Ababa, at Accra, at Lumumbashi, Brazzaville, Maputo, and everywhere in Africa. Thank you.